right, guys. Let me see. How you all doing tonight? I decided to kick it off a little bit early and do this live thing instead of the normal podcast because by the time I get that stuff published, it's way too late. People got to get up for work. So I'm giving this thing a go. We got the win 23-15. It was a crossroads game. I was very happy to see the Dolphins show up. It was ugly, really, really ugly for both these teams. This was super, super sloppy. But the Dolphins, I mean, McDaniel's like what? He's 1-9, I think, in primetime games. And it looked like they were going to lay the egg. And Tua was getting a lot of heat. I was watching a Twitter thing. Yeah, not to go to sleep mad. That's right, Jose. Yeah, super proud of the defense, Chris, 100%. You know, there's factors that go into it, you know. But Weaver, I thought, he's been a very steady influence. I think sometimes you'll see some passes get caught late and drives late in the game. But it happened the last couple of years. I think it's a personnel problem. I think overall, though, I think Weaver's the strongest part of this team as far as the coaching staff. So very proud of this team. Rams, I expected more from them as far as being professional, not being a hot mess. They just wet the bed. And it was good because it was so ugly. The turnover, I'll go over some of the numbers to really get the feel for this game. I heard all week about, the offensive line is good, is, top in the guys. Are we done with that? Not saying they're the worst thing ever, but you can clearly see they got issues, and Tua has to deal with that. The run game has to deal with that. The defense has to deal with that, and McDaniel has to deal with that. And now that Austin Jackson's out, Lamb is going to be in, and I'm not a big Austin Jackson fan, but he's an upgrade over Lamb. And now, no, Tua wasn't great. No, he wasn't. But he can't. Those 2 or 3 big plays in the fourth quarter is what it's about. I'm not saying he's the greatest thing ever. But if you go and look, I'm going to show you some numbers. I found a way to tabulate this stuff to kind of give a quick overview early. And I'm going to compare Stafford and Tua's framework. And you're going to kind of get a little bit of a understanding of like, okay, so context. You're going to see what they try to do with Stafford, who without a doubt, the offensive line. I said that, not Noteboom. Was he like the right tackle? I can't remember his name now. My brain's fried. He's the best offensive lineman. He was out. Chop took advantage. The interior offensive line, they brought Jonah Jackson at center, and they're shuffling a lot of stuff. Offensive line makes the NFL world go round. So anyway, I'm going to go into some quick stuff here. Can we agree that Ajax is a huge upgrade in him? Yeah. But Lamb is terrible. He's terrible. That's the one thing. He's a good guy, and you can never fault him. You always once in a while you can pick a play here, but here for his effort, he's just not good with technical stuff at times. He's sloppy, and he doesn't really have as much power. But he's a young guy, and he's way bigger. And Lamb, he gets abused a little bit too much. I think Jackson. They say he's not going to be out for the season, but at least 4 games, I'm thinking. That's terrible that he get injured in the practice like that. But now you got Jones out as well. And if you go through and look for it through the blocking, Jones is not good at pass blocking, but he doesn't get enough help. A lot of times Brewer slides to Eichenberg more than Jones, which is crazy. That's crazy. But he is our best drive blocker. And now who knows how long he'll be out, and then you're going to lose Jackson. It's going to be very, very hard to run a football. Clearly, penalties played a big part. We were disciplined. You got to give McDaniel that in a crunch game. I'll go through the tape. His run blocking was poor. I got to go through and see what his pass blocking is. Jones is the biggest issue, but he gets a lot. Eichenberg gets a lot of help. A lot of times Brewer's rolling to his side. I don't know what the deal is as far as like the scheme and why, but from a talent standpoint, you'd want to help Jones out more. So I'll go back and check. I'll take you, Jose. I'll take your take on it. Hey, Ismail, what's going on? Do you think the rushing attack was bad today? Yeah, because if you go to my last week's my podcast from the last one I did, I said you got to judge our offensive line versus what they face, and we faced very small finesse style defenses where we had, for most, I mean, the Bills we faced twice, they're small. They're not what they used to be. Cardinals don't have really much junk in the trunk. The only one we really faced that was stout was Jags week 1, and they were handling us until their offense crapped out and we just ran them in the hot sun. And then the Titans, but they didn't have Simmons, and we struggled with just Sweat. So what we saw today with Verse and what's the other guy, the rookie, and the D tackle. I forgot all the names now, guys. I'm tired. But they got a lot of power. They have 2 D tackles, 3 D tackles that have power, and 1 D end that has power. And that's where we struggle with. We don't handle power well. And it's always going to be an issue. But thankfully for us this week, Rams have a very poor secondary. And so we were able to beat it. At times they and if you go through the numbers, I'll get that in a second. Win, I don't know. Suppose it was like some kind of issues with recovering from his knee thing, So I don't know, but he's weak on power too. But he's better than Cotton. Cotton is Cotton. I mean, Cotton's literally Cotton. His name is almost like excellent for his skill set. Jones is the mauler. He needs the help. He should be getting the help from Brewer like 70% of the time. Let him drive block. A couple of nice, some of the runs we had today was through him. It's gonna hurt that he's not gonna be in there. The thing that bothers me is Julian Hill. I really hope he could pick up. He's got to give him time. But he's a weakness. He should be a practice squad player, I think. So if you go through the game plan of what we presented and what they presented, you're going to see something. It's going to help you maybe not say, I excuse Tua, but you'll understand. You'll see that, hey, they did one thing with Stafford, but with us, they did something totally different. So let me go through this. I'll get, I know. Oh, man. I love Kohu. Cam sucks. Cam is bad. The problem with Cam, I got to get into it because Kohu gets a lot of knocks, but he saved our one season, and he's so valuable this season. Cam is too small to play safety. And he doesn't have burst out of cuts. He's always trailing. So he's got good speed, but bad fast twitch reaction, explosion out of his cuts. So he gets left behind. He's just not big enough to play safety. They're going to have to find a spot for him, like a tweener spot, So, but if you go, I'm going to go into this before I get distracted, you guys. I love your comments, man. I'm grateful that you guys are here. But I wanted you to get an overview. So the Phins, us Dolphins, we had 70 run yards, 3.2 yards per carry, or 68, 3.2. Let me confirm this. I think I screwed something up. I put him in the wrong spot. All right, so yeah, I freaking screwed up and put it in the wrong spot. So anyway, I get this. They had 9 pressures on us. We had 12 on them. Our pass rush mitigation, screens and play action was 46% with 9 extra blockers. And so that pulls guys out of routes. And that's the one play that he got sacked was a really horrible one. He should have booted out, but everyone's covered. When you have 46%, which is not terrible, it's a little high, but it's not terrible. But when you compare it to the Rams, they had 25% with 4 extra blockers. Now, they couldn't handle our pass rush, and so it might not have been the smartest thing for them. But the blitz rate was the same. But here's the interesting part. They had 27 true pass sets, and we had 11. And so when you have that restricted conservative offense, it makes it very difficult for a quarterback to attack. And I thought Tua made the best of it. It was some ugly plays with him not getting rid of the ball or the pressure coming in quick. But you could see at the end, there was the one where Verse had a free run on him, and he did that little spin and booted out, and he got the playoff, and that was huge. Put the 3 points on. And then there was the one later on at the end where he had a a nice play where he booted out and got it to Beckham. And those are two huge plays. But his offense is very curtailed. We are very, very conservative. Defenses play all high stuff. I got to see what they were playing. But I thought overall, Tua, it wasn't pretty, obviously. I mean, it was the fumbles and all this other stuff. But it's not a good framework. Now, again, with Stafford, I thought they would play too loosey-goosey. But in the end, you could see that this offensive line struggled, but Tua was able to make some things. Waddle's got to catch the football. Hill did a little bit. Jonnu had some beautiful plays. There were those skill positions, whether it was Hill or Jonnu or Beckham, that just made a few big plays to keep this thing open. And so it's the skills that uplifted everything along with Tua. Achane, I thought, was very good. This guy, if you give him a line, he's brutal. Hey, thanks, brother. I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm like such a dope. I do this thing like all the time, but it's slow for me to figure it out. Like, where's my man Tommy? Tommy from Mafia Sports Report. He's like, dude, you got to do this. What's wrong with you? I was like, for 3 weeks. So yeah, I like it. I think it's good. It saves a lot of time. I get to talk to you guys. So anyway, but thanks for showing up. Ace, tell me how come Miami Dolphins don't jump up and down to distract the kicker when the opponents go to field goal like anything. I don't know. Our special teams are very special. Very, very special. Yeah, thank you, Tommy, man. I got me doing this thing. Saves me a hassle because now I'm doing all the tech stuff, so I got to edit and all this, man. This is a lot better. Yeah, Farrell's good, man. And he's big and he's talented. And they got another guy next to him. I can't remember what the other guy's name is. I should have wrote the names down. I'm bad with names. I don't even know my kids' names. But then you add in the rookie they drafted. And then you add in Verse. And they got a physical front. And we can't handle physicality. Lamb can't handle it. Jackson can't handle it. Eichenberg can't handle it. Sometimes Brewer can, but a lot of times he can't. But I've seen a little bit, where I could say, okay, maybe he's getting there, but I see him get handled. Jones can, but he can't handle speed. And then Tehran can, but you can't really. You're going to go against teams that bring, and they'll bring the blitz. And that was another thing too. We saw more blitzing than we usually did, and that's why there was a lot of pressure. And so this is a low end defense. And the offense played so it's a good win for us. Unfortunately, though, if you're in the camp of, hey, you know what, I don't like Greer and I want to get a good pick, you ain't getting it. I think we're going to get about 7 or 8 wins. I'm hoping for more. So are we going to win a bunch of games? No. I mean, there's no. Because, no. You got to go to Green Bay. If we win the next 3, which Patriots game could be very interesting. They're playing a little bit better. I think their offensive line sucks, and we're going to do what we did to Stafford. And May's not going to have the grit to handle it like Stafford did. I think we win 3. It's 5 and 6. You go to Green Bay, you're going to lose that one, and then I think you got a string of what is right after. Then it's the Jets in our house. We'll beat them. I have no faith in them anymore. Although I'm a little concerned a little bit about that last game, like maybe they could do something. But then you go to Houston, they're going to gut us. And then you got San Fran. So it's 3 losses. I mean, how are we going to do with the Browns? We'll probably beat them, but you never know. It's on the road. It could be like one of those rainy, snowy, bad weathers. Then you got the Jets. So even if you clean house, you're going to end up with about 8 wins because you got, 9 games left. You lose 3, 6. 6-2 is 8. So you're going to get about 8 wins, and that's if we win all the ones that we're supposed to. The 15-yard sack, he should have just rolled. Yes, he should have. But he stayed in the pocket trying to make something. That was stupid. That was totally stupid. He had a couple of dumb plays. I mean, it's clearly – but, guys, go back and watch Marino. I tell you, I went back and watched some of Marino's games – just a couple months ago. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Are you an idiot? I'm like, it's Dan Marino. Back in the day, though, it was like genius, These guys, Tua's got that thing in him. They're trying to make the play, and he's not Dan Marino, but even Dan Marino had some of the dumbest plays I've ever seen. But at the end, I do think it's an inferior team. They played very poorly, but Tua came up with some clutch plays. I mean, if you take yourself out of it and you think of it as a coach, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but I know that I got to win this game, and we won this game. And Tua made 2 huge plays that he could have been dead. And I'm not saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you got to give it to him. He had some bad plays, but in the end, the defense kept it tight enough. They screwed up enough, and he made 2 huge plays that let us get the win, Play calling is erratic, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, but think of it this way. If you're the OC, you're the more intimately understanding of what the capabilities of your O-line is. And you know the matchups. And if you notice, we weren't really running the football like we had in weeks past. Why? Because the fronts are different. The way they treated us is different. So the matchups are different, pulling out Jackson. So the level of erraticness comes from the O-line. This is why I don't know why I have these problems. I say O-line makes the NFL world go round because it sets the table. It creates the consistency. It sets the foundation of every play. And so if your O-line is getting mashed like Stafford, look no farther than the Rams and Stafford's O-line getting gutted, and give Chop a ton of credit. I'm going to get into some players that really did a good job, but it's not easy when you have a poor offensive line. And, people will say, oh, no, they're really good. We threw the football 1.97 seconds clean. And just about every other time, it was pressure and Tua struggled. So we throw fast. We use pass rush mitigation, and we don't do much true pass sets for a reason. It's like, it's so, and I know there's so many people out there, no. Like, go back to the Denver game and the Giants game. We're offensive line is 1970 Dolphins, and with the Miami Dolphins of the 80s, and then it all of a sudden crapped out. I mean, you could say injuries, but everybody's got injuries, and a lot of the guys that were injured, that replaced the injured guys are here now. So this is an offensive line that works okay, good enough against certain fronts and teams. But when you got something like this, no, it doesn't work so well. And then if you add a good secondary and a good offense, it compounds the problems. So McDaniel is erratic. Two timeouts that were wasted in the second half. There's no crowd noise. I was almost bored during the game because it was so quiet. I felt no energy. It was like almost back in COVID days when nobody's in the stadium. It was so bizarre. I like to see Tua in the pistol. Yeah, he does. And I think the pistol, I'm not high on the pistol. Like, I think that if you watch teams around the league, you got to get under center more. Pass balance, and this is something I've been talking about for a few years, is where the league is heading. When you're under center and you snap that football and you turn your back, the ball gets lost. And then the defense has to almost pause. When you're in a shotgun, it's a clear view, and they can make those key reads so easy. Pistol, it kind of masks it a little bit, and I tend to like it. But I think that we really need more on the center. Having a rate, Jonnu, that has been my point for years. You got it. Look, we all know the same talk. I mean, you watch this stuff; they say the same things. It's football speech. The tight end is the quarterback security blanket, and if you get a guy that can block, Jonnu can't really, but he's potent in the pass game when you add in all our other talent. A tight end is something we should have invested in bigly a long time ago. I would have taken like Bowers and Waddle over Waddle and Hill. I like the addition of Jonnu, but a really top tight end is nice. Really. I think it's time to understand that it's just who he is. He's not worth 2 first-round draft picks. He's definitely not better than Sewell. I even think maybe Smith is better from the Eagles is better than him. He's a potent kid, a potent talent with his speed. Maybe he gets better, but he just looks awkward catching. I love him as a person, but this is year after year, this stuff. And I don't know why. It's so weird. But maybe, he's such a good kid. Maybe it starts really hitting him. He just gets to the jug machine and starts turning around. But usually at this stage, I don't know. Jalen. he's a good player, man. But the problem with Jalen a little bit, it's not his problem. So he's got some wiggle, but not like Achane wiggle. If you're not able to give him yards before contact, he can't get off as quickly. He's better than some of the big backs we've had, but he needs a little bit of yards before contact. And we weren't really getting it because it was just getting crowded. And so I think we have two phenomenal running backs, but I just don't believe this offensive line and tight end group is going to accentuate it, which is a shame. It's a shame, but no, he's very good. He's actually impressing me a ton. But if you go and watch a running back, most people watch running backs for the big plays. That's not what you really judge a running back. Judge a running back when the play breaks down. And what does he do in a small space? What does he do to maximize that run? And I think that when you look at Jalen, he can maximize, I think, even better in the interior than Achane. Achane does some great stuff with his movement skills when there's a little bit of holes. But Jalen, in between A and B gaps, got the strength and the speed. I think this kid is a really good pick. Really, really good pick for us. Yeah. I hate the whole smile thing at the end. I want him to get angry. So I hate the whole smile, like happy. I don't accept that. Two is not great, but outshone stuff. Yeah. And then, okay, that's it. He did his thing. This is not like, this is not an entire history eval. He had some very ugly moments, but we talk about him not being clutch. He was very clutch in the end. And if they had played well, then he might have only ended with these ugly looks, but it is what it is. And I thought he made those two plays were tremendous. I mean, tremendous. They were talking about him not being able to move and get out. And I don't know why rushers, it's so funny. Like, it's so obvious. Rushers, they do the inside leverage when they blitz them. I think it's so dumb. I don't know how the DCs and the rushers are not playing outside leverage, because he does that little boot. He's got the short area quickness. Very surprising they continue to attack him like that. I would always play outside in instead of inside out. It's very surprising. I think we'll sweep him again. If they had a good offensive line, I'd be concerned. That guy May looks like he could be really good. I mean, it's a long way from here to there, but I'm slow to be impressed. But this guy is winning, and he's got a terrible offensive line. I think we beat him though. He was a good player for us. He's a good player for us. 49. Chiba Dog says, good job, while raising his thumb up. Hey, there's a Shiba Inu stuff is doing really well from the cryptocurrency thing. 49, thank you, man. Thank you. Or somebody send me, I don't know how it works. Somebody says 49. I thank you, brother. Who will win and lose against? Oh, I think we're going to lose big time to San Fran, Green Bay, and then Texans. And that's going to knock us out. But, the downside to that is that you're going to get Greer again. And he shouldn't handle this. He sucks. He's terrible. I mean, all the people, he's 4D chess with the oldest team in the league. Our best player on defense, I say Ramsey, but he's older. But it's Campbell. He's going to be around next year. What are you going to do, man? You got Kohu's a free agent. Holland's a free agent. You got Chubb coming off a major injury. This team is a ways away from compete. I mean, Tommy out there, I don't want to say it, but your Bills are okay. They're above average to good. I mean, they're not of the elite status. And, maybe they develop. Maybe the things come together a little bit. But talent-wise, they've got good coaching stuff. But we're a ways off. I don't know what was he doing that for? That is so dumb. He got whacked in the side of the head. That could have been another couple of games. The whole season could have crapped out. I don't know. It's not smart. I don't know. There's something. It's kind of noble in some ways because he's like a warrior. And he's just like, screw it, man. I don't care. But it's like you got to be smart, man. You're not a running back. You're not a middle linebacker. You're a quarterback. So, I was like, what is he doing, man? There's a couple. There's like two. What are you doing, man? Just like if he gets the pressure, just drop to the ground. Live the fight another day. Those ill mistakes is part of – yeah. Yeah, you compound the lack of talent in certain areas, and then you add in the mistakes. But they were way more sloppy than us. Yeah, they will. Yeah, will haunt us. And that, again, it goes. 2 wasn't in, but see, my thing is, and it's just my eval, guys. I don't want to like get down on anybody. I just don't think this build's good enough, and I don't think it's about Tua. I mean, I think you could put a better build in front of him, and he would be better. I think there's some fine pieces on this team, but my whole take is 3 years ago, I'm a melon-headed dummy who does, YouTube. And I was telling people, hey, the league's changing. The league's changing to pass balance. The interior DI positions and the interior OL positions are becoming critical. This was like 2021, entering 2022. But Greer didn't pay attention to that. He built a pass rushing defense for teams he expected to throw all day in fun ball. And he built the ultimate passing team, and that's not what the league's about. Go look at all the stats, all the numbers, the passing yards, the touchdowns. Everything is flatlining because D's have got it. And so this build is not good enough. He should not be in charge. I'm fine. You can keep McDaniel. They can keep McDaniel. You can keep this whole thing or whatever, but not him. He's terrible. He's a used car salesman. Yeah, Seal is great. It's a shame we couldn't keep him and Wilkins. The two of them together were very, very special. And I think Seal is getting a really big break with Campbell. So that's a really good thing. But it's not going to last forever. Yeah, they did it. What is it going to amount to? I don't know, but I'm happy for today. It's very easy to cover these games, when it's like this. So I want to get into some quick stuff here. Weaver, I'm very happy about. Rams, totally sloppy. We played disciplined ball except for the turnovers. Chop, people were worried about Chop. Chop is looking good. He's going to be a good player for us. Wasn't necessarily a position that was most important for us. Out of chose Sweat, but the kid's a good player. He works hard. He's got a nice first step. You're starting to see a little incremental growth out of him. We'll see what happens if he keeps developing. Campbell's a stud. It was Conan Campbell. I was very happy about that. And he's playing out the way I thought. Jonnu is becoming Jonnu. And it's going to help us. How long do we have with him? I don't know, but I'm very pleased. And we should understand now that if we're going to draft, we should get another one of these guys in the draft, even as guys in the back end. Like a guy I wanted a couple of years ago was Kraft. They got him in the 4th round. And he's doing really, really good. You got to get, John could probably be around for another season or two. But you still got to develop these guys. The tight ends are critical. Again, Sealer's awesome. Jackson, IR, Fuller dinged up again. Thankfully, we don't have to. Raiders are terrible, and so it's not the end of the world. We're going to win. We'll probably win definitely next week unless we totally wet the bed. Robert Jones, how long is he out? That's going to hurt. Hill's good, but if you crowd him and you focus on him, you can take him out when you have a kind of offense that we have. But Waddle is a real letdown. You can't have almost $60 million and you're getting this kind of – we had 171 pass yards. And it's not to his fault. They're playing it a certain way, and we're being very conservative to mask our protection deficiencies. But that's why I say I give Tua credit because – it's aggressive in the depth it was, and it's aggressive maybe in a throwing volume, but it's not aggressive in concept and application. The Rams are aggressive in application, but they got chewed up. I thought it was stupid. They were overly aggressive and they paid the price. Cam Smith again, bad draft pick. He's never going to develop unless they find a very specific role for him. Again, too skinny to play center, safety, to come up in the box, and he does not have the burst. Go check. A very good indication is the broad jump and the vertical. He's got great speed, but it just doesn't have the vertical, the pop out of his routes. Go back and watch the film every time. He's like Noah. Noah was great on single routes, single moves. It was a fly or something like that. He could trail, not so much on slants, but it was a fly. He was pretty good. But once there was a cut, he was always left behind. And I'm hoping but I don't see Cam fixing that. Achan's a stud. This kid is exceptional, and I give Greer all the credit in the world for drafting him. He's been very good with running backs over his career. He's had a couple of good areas where he's pretty good at. But Achane in the pass game is going to develop. His run game is going to develop, and hopefully we get him an offensive line, and he will be super special if he can stay healthy. I'm hoping he can just tack a few little extra pounds every year and get to the 195 maybe. But this kid's playing so good, and I love that he's wearing the padded helmet. Do you agree that our running backs are starting to tip to the hole now instead of hitting the hole with authority like they were doing before Wright and Chan? That's why our running game was down. I don't know. I got to go back and look at what's going down in the run game, but I know there were holes weren't there. I know that there were breakdowns because Verse and Co. are very physical. And so what they did, they blitzed 25%. Last week, the Bills blitzed twice. So what does that mean? Go check the leverage that the linebackers played with. They came up to the line of scrimmage and then would drop or come up the line of scrimmage to blitz. And so if you're an offensive line and you have your linebackers playing high leverage and 7 guys high, you have all that space, and even marginal success in blocking is going to create space. When you got a guy like Achane and Mostert, they can find those holes. But this week, they had played a little bit tighter leverage. They blitzed a lot more. I got to check to see the run blitz, but then they're physical enough to hold their ground and then drive it back. A lot of teams we played, they can't really do that. They didn't have those kind of players. And so I'll check this, in the film to see why the running backs are doing it. But I just think there's less holes. I think that there's some less opportunities. And then another thing too is that we weren't able to keep running that football. And for all the Rams suckiness, they had more snaps than us on offense, which means we couldn't gas them. If you go back and you look at Jacksonville, you go look at who was it a couple of weeks ago? I can't remember who it was, but a couple of the teams, we had a huge time of possession and just wore them down till they finally broke. And that plays a big part. When an offense can't stay on the field, then the defense wears out. And that's how we get in a lot of our runs and get those 40 runs and building up. So I think there's a lot of factors. And I don't think I got to go back and I can't diagnose the running backs until I watch their film from all 22 and see what is what. But I'm going to check for that. Fully agree. Yeah, you got to be on the center in the new era. We're never on the center. And we never on the center. I mean, but you go back and look, Bills moved up maybe 20, 30% under center. There's a lot more success. Even the Jets don't. They do a lot of the pistol stuff, and I think that's one of the major problems. Look at Mahomes. Everybody's kind of moving a little bit more under center. Oh, don't say that, and Dad. Don't say that. I heard all week how awesome the offensive line was, and I'm crazy, and I'm just a bitter old man. What's the Hopi and Pimp's going to tell you this week? I don't know. I think Wright just needs, and he just needs more holes. He's more of a A-B gap runner, like a one-cut guy, and so you want to get some more drive blocking. I don't think he's as good on the zone stretch because I don't think he has the ability to cut back as well as, say, an Achane or a Mostert. He really works well in that A and B gap, the one cut, and he has a little bit of wiggle, but we need better drive blockers. Yeah, he doesn't. He can't cut back like at a 90-degree angle. He's just not that way, Ike flopped his way. Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of his traits. But that's, kid's smart. And just like Jackson, they learn how to do something. But they're most of his skill set's a black hole. I mean, I don't know how anybody says that's not true. It's crazy. I think it's crazy. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it's crazy. How about Patrick Paul getting a few reps here? Now he got like 1 or 2 tonight. But if you go back, and I really try to spend a lot of time, you can't pin it to the ground, but I pay a lot of attention to psychology. And you go look at like Jackson and Eichenberg moved around, thrown in too early. If you're not building good habits and you're not in a set up for success and you're failing, then you're going to build bad techniques because you're just trying to survive. And then those bad techniques get hardwired inside you. And so Paul's a guy that is so critical to this franchise, and he's raw. And he's also a nice kid. So I think that we need to slow roll him as much as possible. But Lamb is old, man. I think he's ready to retire. I don't know how many reps he can take. And that's scary. That is very, very scary. If Jackson's out, say 6 weeks, it's very bad news. Very, very bad news. And when we see some real defenses and offenses in bad conditions, it's going to be very tough, and he might have to step in. I've come to terms with Tua as a server. I don't think he's serviceable. Okay, so, but maybe. So let's think of it this way. Is this the best framework for Tua? I would say no. I would say you would want a very good interior offensive line that can drive block and a pretty good exterior because he has the ability to get the ball out quick and he's ability to climb the pocket. And then with this the play action, he can use that quick release as well when it's legitimate play action. So if you had a good tight end that can block pretty well and catch pretty well, and you had a good interior offensive line that can run inside zone, then you run that football, and as they creep up in the leverage in the box and they start buying into it psychologically, he can turn his back on the play action. They lose sight of it, and then he plants and throws, and he can hit the tight end over the middle instead of what we're running is all these like almost fake play actions, and everyone's still dropping deep, and you're just hitting the receivers. So I think you would want to take him out of the lottery as far as getting hit, and you do that by increasing the run game, and that's the ability to run inside zone. I would be running about 60 to 70% inside zone and 30 to maybe 40% outside zone. I don't like the heavy outside zone stuff. It's a very fickle run style. It's not consistent. And if you notice, they had like 12 stops on us, and it throws us off. So you get a penalty, you get a negative play, you get a screenplay that fails, and all these things make our offense clunky. But if you run inside zone, it's not as flashy, but it's more consistent. And so then you can get like a second down and 7, second down and 6, third down and 3. And then you can work small routes off, route combinations, timing routes to use that speed. So for me, I don't think he's serviceable. I think he's got some elite traits. He's got some strong weaknesses. I think he's not fully developed. I think you would need to develop his ability to manipulate the defense pre-snap on the line of scrimmage, and we don't see that. And a lot of that comes, he can't go on to center because a Brewer will likely be blown up, or Eichenberg, and so they can't go on the center. So I don't know. I think he's an above average quarterback to good quarterback with a few elite traits and one very terrible issue with as far as injuries. But you can make it happen. Look at Jimmy G. They went to the Super Bowl. I think this kid doesn't have the best framework. And I think you don't want to give him the ball all the time. Why would you develop the 1980s Dan Marino offense for a guy that's not Dan Marino? And Dan Marino never won anything. I love Dan to death, but he never won anything. Why wouldn't you develop the 1970s where you build an awesome offensive line, you have one stud receiver, you have a good solid tight end, very good run game, nice offensive line, and a great defense, and then the quarterback comes up clutch and makes a few big plays. And then you can, just like they did with Brady, then you develop him into a bigger asset over time instead of, okay, here, kid, go ahead, be Dan Marino and carry us. I don't know. I thought it was very suspect as far as the rationality. I don't know. And I don't know if I want to. It's like this. It was a very bad move. We should have kept Van Ginkel. I think he'll be back at the end of the season, but I don't think he's going to be 100% this season. It's a very slow recovery for him. And you could even see with Phillips, who's younger, he wasn't himself either for the first, and then he got injured. So I don't think Chubb's going to be, and then you're going to come back. He's going to be 24 million. I don't know. Yeah, he has. He's not a bust. I don't know how anyone thought he'd be a bust. I think the only thing that we have to worry about is, can he be a 3-tool guy? Could be a 3-down guy. We got to see. I think that if you have a good, I would love to see him. I'm not going to get into it, but anyway, I think the kid's going to be very good pass rusher, and then we'll see what happens. It takes time, What's the guy's name who was the end Ingram that was from the Chargers came to us? He could be like a guy like that. He just takes a little time to grow. The guy's a physical beast. I don't think he's going to be. I never thought he'd be a bust. I just don't know if I would rather had Sweat. Give me Sweat. Sweat is Chop is an important piece, but the new pass balance era is all about A and B, and Sweat is an unbelievable monster. He's even faster than I thought. What he did to us, his ability to move at that size, he was the play. I understand maybe why not, but I would. That was my guy. I targeted him. I really hate this organization. Win guarantees 6. Yeah. It's. I know. Yeah, I hate the laughing. I don't like the whole happy-go-lucky thing. I think we're soft. I think we're built soft. We're built to everybody gets a trophy type thing. I'm proud of what we did today. I don't think 2 is a weak, but I think the whole framework's kind of weak, and I think we'll get I think 8 wins. I think it's about 8 wins. I think that's about, but that's all that says is Greer will be back and the hype train will run, and more than likely, you never know, maybe Greer learns, but I don't think we can rebuild this team to a point where you're actually, guys, we had more draft capital than anybody. What's the goal? Is the goal to be cute and make the playoffs and get knocked out and win maybe one game? Or is it to win a Super Bowl? We are not winning a Super Bowl anytime soon with the leadership that we have at the top, not talking about McDaniel and this build. I don't see it. I got to check him. I wasn't paying attention to him. I got to go back and check. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know. Oh, I forget about that. But give him credit. He got Achane, but that was, yeah, it was I don't know. You just check his break. And I don't know where you fit him. He's just so beam Polish. He's like over 6 feet tall, and he's like 180, 90 pounds or something. Yeah, it's a bad pick. We got too many of them. Yeah. He's starting for the Commanders. That's crazy. I go check out his play. Is he starting or is he a nickel? I got to go check him out. Achane. Oh, Achane was McDaniel's pick? Yeah, that was good. Maybe that's why I'll take. No, Greer's terrible, man. I don't know how anybody, yeah. But, McDaniel chose easy over Zach Tom, which is that's totally crazy. But he did good on Achane. I don't know how they passed on Zach Tom. And I'm not, after fact, I was mentioning that like nonstop. Yeah. Draft Cam Smith. Oh, you wanted him in the second round? I didn't know that. That's good information. Ingold. Yeah, no, it didn't. Ingold helps. Definitely 100%. Oh yeah, guys, if you can subscribe and comment, I need that stuff to keep staying in business. I appreciate all you guys. I really do. But if you can, like and subscribe. Thank you, Jose. Salute. Yeah, thank you too, man. With 10 picks next year, you think it's a long way to go? 10 picks? Yeah, but what does Greer do with his picks? Is he going to hit? He hits maybe 10, 15% less or something, but he doesn't overhit. Look what the Rams have done. Look what these the best teams do as far as drafting. He's got some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. Greer has found some, but it's just too much failure. And I don't think there's enough picks. And then because you got to figure too. So if we draft the guys, they're not coming in and start. He always drafts project players. And then how long's Ramsey going to be around? Tehran's going to go soon. I don't know. I can't get rid of him until after June. But a lot of the guys that we have, Hill's getting older. Every year now he's nicked up. So you're going to have to add guys. All the guys are leaving. Our cap is strapped. What's the goal? If the goal is winning a Super Bowl, I don't see how we can do it. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see how we can put together a Super Bowl here, So overall, we got to go into the next couple of weeks with Lamb and Washington and Cotton. And, I think we can get through the next 2 weeks. How long is Jones out? How long is Lamb out? It could be dangerous in that nice stretch. You can't lose to the Jets at home. That would be brutal. So for me, yes, I should have said that to start it. Yes, Veterans Day. I should have mentioned that. Totally forgot, dummy. Thank you. So what's the goal? I just feel like this the leadership in the franchise is selling us hope. And thanks, brother. Thanks. I'm not a vet, but all my family is I was supposed to be, but I was too much of a recalcitrant dude. Happy Veterans Day to everybody who's out there. So is the goal to win a Super Bowl? Is this team ready? Is it going to be ready anytime soon? I mean, look what I'm going to get out of here soon. I'm going to add 48 minutes. But look at what Peyton's doing over with the Broncos. Look at what they're doing with the Lions. Look at the Vikings. Look at Tampa. Look at all these teams that are ahead of us with less draft capital, and they just advanced. So I don't know. I'm going to keep evaluating the season. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'll reset my evaluation next year if Greer's still in charge. I reset every year. But this was a good win for us. What does it mean in the totality, and what does it mean in the whole grand scheme? We'll see. If you beat Green Bay and you beat the Texans and you beat San Fran, then I'm going to have to say I'm totally wrong. Let's see. Good win. And that's about it. Any more questions you guys got? Any want to talk about under Greer and Mike's 3 drafts? Only a 7th round QB, second round, only ones that actually made impacts. Rest bench riders. Yeah, it's terrible. We got terrible drafts. And you can say, we only had second and thirds. And look at other teams. Look at the Rams. There's teams out there that find players. But we go and just spend. We overspend. I mean, just think of all the capital that was spent on 2 for Kindley, Dieter, Rosen, second and third on Eichenberg, whole draft on Hill and Chubb, and you send it out for Ramsey, which I get. But, how are you building this team? It's all like piecemeal and slapping against the wall for a quick return. And I don't know. I don't think 2 is part of the problem. I think there's a lot of good players. I think there's some good coaches here. But overall, I don't know. Let's see. Bills and Ravens haven't got the Super Bowl despite numerous plays. Oh, yeah. But they're way more successful than us. I mean, they've had – we haven't even won a playoff game in 24 years or 25 years or something, And so we're in the 5th – we're going to go into the 6th year next year without winning a playoff game of this build. But Greer was a part of the build 3 years prior to that, from 2016. And you'll say, well, no, it was Tannenbaum and Gase. Yeah, but he takes credit for Howard, and he even said in 2019, I made all the final choices. So if he made all the final choices, he went for Charles Harris over Watt. I mean, he did find Xavier Howard. So you got 9 years, 6 to 9 years of this guy. And the Ravens, they're constantly, consistently winning. They're not going to win. They haven't won the whole thing, but way more successful than us. Even the Bills, they've gone to conference championships. We still haven't won a postseason game. And so, I don't know. I mean, you have a point, but ultimately, do you think that Chris Greer is going to build as a winner? He had all that draft capital, and this is what we got. And so we're going to expect that the next normal draft capital he has, he's going to somehow get it and draft us a Super Bowl team. I don't know. We'll see. But be happy for today. I worry, too, that we're going to keep Greer and not get a good draft pick. It's not going to go anywhere. But I just want to win. There's so many Dolphin fans. I just want to see meaningful games. So let's enjoy this victory. Let's enjoy the next 2 victories, 95%. But everything has got to crystallize in your mind for evaluating from Green Bay on. And there was a lot of people talking about the offensive line doing their victory marches, and then now this game happened. So just stay with the context. Evaluate fairly. Be proud of your team. Your coach did good today as far as keeping discipline. Your defensive coach played really well and put together a nice game plan, and defense came through, and your quarterback came up in the clutch. Let's enjoy it, but let's take it for what it is and evaluate 1 week at a time. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate everything. You are the best. Staying with Melonhead over here and doing the whole thing. So I'll see you with a podcast tomorrow when I dig into deeper. Be well. Go Phins. Curtis out. How do I show this thing off? Oh, there we go. How do you get out? There you go.